And y. Just gotta update my title and then I'll be good. I don't know, honey. Yay! Hello. Welcome, one and all. Yago, it's always you. How you doing, Yago? You're my main man, you know that? We're feeling good. We're just gonna get started in just a little bit. I'll give it just some time. Yeah, I can check my viewer list if I feel like it. How are we doing on frames? No dropped frames, that's what I like to see. Camera's good. Yeah, we're talking. One thing that's annoying is I feel like the viewer count doesn't update very often. Because sometimes my viewer count just like will jump from like 10 to 20 or something. And I'm like, what happened? And it was 20 all along. It just hadn't updated. So I don't know what's going on with that. I could not tell you what's going on with that. Close that ad. So much stuff going on. All right, let's get started with our Queen A5 Winawer knowledge. So the Winawer is a line in the French that comes about after e4, e6, the French defense, where you go into the main line French with d4. We're not going to look at any like King's Indian attack, like this stuff. None of this. This is all totally different. And after d4, d5, we're going to look at the classical response from white, which is knight c3. There's a bunch of other different moves here. So this is really only one of the main branches of the French defense. We're looking at knight c3, but white has 4 really playable alternatives. White can play knight d2. White can play e5. And white can take the exchange French. I know it gets a really bad reputation, but I think it's not as ridiculous as people say it is. It's not a draw. I have gotten in trouble in the black side of this position before, so it's really not as dry as people say it is. But we'll only be focusing on knight c3, and the Winawer comes after the move bishop b4, establishing this pin. And like most Winawer structures, what we're looking to do, we're going to take this, we're going to damage white's pawn structure, excuse me, and we're going to play against white's sort of damaged structure. But white will claim he has the 2 bishops, and he'll also claim that our dark squares are weak because we're giving up our dark square bishop. And that is the mainline Winawer. However, it is beneficial to white to include this move e5, and this is the main line. Most people will play this. There are a few sidelines here that should be noted. First of all, bishop d2 is totally playable here, and this is a move that you should have something prepared against. I'm not going to tell you what to do here, because I honestly don't have anything prepared against this, which is a hole in my repertoire. I should have something prepared against this. Knight e2 is playable here. Again, I don't really have something prepared against this because this is a little bit of a weird sideline. It's possible to play a3 immediately and go for this position. This is a thing that white can play. It's objectively equal, but it's a rich position. Very interesting. It's called like semi-Winawer, I think. I don't know. And the other sideline here is you can take, and this is like a delayed exchange variation. And so these are all sidelines that are playable for white. But the main move, and the move that I see most of the time when I get this position, is e5. And as black, we get our thematic French break, c5. And now white plays a3. Playing bishop a5 is going to be very, very sad after knight b5. Well, not knight b5 right away, but, you know, we'll play like some moves. We'll get knight b5. We'll come in on d6. You don't want to play bishop a5 here. It's playable. It is playable. I think it's bad. That might just be my personal opinion. I think it's bad to play bishop a5. So we take, and now the stage is set. White has a ruined structure, but he has a dark square bishop and we don't. He has a pair of bishops and we don't. So white clearly has strong compensation for the bad structure. Yeah, that's Iago's given the line. After bishop a5, white can play b4 and give the pawn, and the problem is this is so weak. The dark square is so weak. If you play bishop c7, well then you give up your dark square bishop and you get no structural compensation. I guess you could say that's a backwards pawn, but it's ridiculous. So this would be terrible. That's why bishop a5, it's a no-go. It's playable, but don't play it. Don't play it. Okay. So after takes, and the move that I know, and the move that I recommend here, is queen a5. It's a very interesting line. Also playable is knight e7, which, after queen g4, can lead to the poisoned pawn. And the poisoned pawn is very theoretical, very sharp, and if you're going to play the poisoned pawn, you better know what you're doing. And I'm not going to be talking about the poisoned pawn, because I don't know what I'm doing in a poisoned pawn. I used to play the poisoned pawn, I lost a lot, and I stopped playing the poisoned pawn, because I'm not trying to lose every game. So, you can also play like an old Winawer with queen c7, and after queen g4 you go f5. That's interesting. This is very playable, but I think Botvinnik played this, so you can play this. But we're going to be looking at the move queen a5. And queen a5, it really does two things. You're putting pressure immediately on white's queenside weaknesses. You put immediate pressure on the queenside weaknesses. And you're preparing to blockade the a pawn. And the reason is, white has this dark squared bishop. But it's not entirely clear where the dark squared bishop is going to get active. Like, the bishop doesn't really want to go to these squares because it's blocked in by these pawns. It can go to g5, but it's not really doing anything on g5. Like, it's just hitting air. So, a lot of times in these structures, white wants to play a4 and bishop a3, and that can be very annoying because this is actually a very useful diagonal for the bishop. So, with the queen coming out here, we're preparing to stop this plan and make this bishop not useful. And in doing so, we're going to try and claim that your structural deficiencies will be more important than your bishop, because your second bishop, your unopposed bishop, isn't going to be very useful. So that's the strategic idea behind this move, queen a5, is we're going to blockade the queen side, we're going to target the queen side, and we're trying to make this piece a bad piece. However, all things come with a cost. And the cost of this, we're making a queen move. We haven't developed any of our pieces, and we're actually going to make another queen move very soon. So we're moving the queen twice in the opening without developing any of our pieces. Our king's still in the center. So there is a trade-off here, in that white will often end up ahead in development, and black is sort of having to scramble to keep everything tamped down, to keep everything safe. And that's where we get to our first critical line. So the move here for white is bishop d2, protecting this pawn, and eyeing a potential discovery on the queen. However, I should briefly mention this because I've gotten this before. If white plays knight f3, what should black play? This is my first question to the chat. On knight f3, what do we play as black? Seed of the white wings, not even close to being true. What's not close to being true? If I'm misinforming, please tell me, because sometimes I misinform without meaning to. Yeah, CD4. I learned the hard way. I learned the very, very hard way that this is not a good move. Because I've played this, and after bishop d2, that's a suspicious queen. That's an incredibly suspicious queen. So after like queen b2, like white's gonna win this queen. Either that or he's gonna like blow your king out of the water. So yeah, on knight f3, we go cd4 and we say, your pawn is pinned. What a silly move you've made. And this actually forces queen d4, where all of a sudden these structural weaknesses are incredibly pronounced. And in fact, we're going to gain more time with knight c6. So this would be very bad for white. So that's why white should play bishop d2. And I told you we were going to make another queen move. And I'm going to deliver on that. Here, we can't allow this discovery. If white gets to play like c4 for free here, that's going to be really bad. So we play the move queen a4. And now we've established our first goal. We've blockaded this a pawn. And we are putting pressure on this pawn. It's only defended once. So white has to keep an eye on this guy or we're going to snatch him. And you know, that might not be winning. Why would you ever try to open positions with one bishop? Like, do you mean in terms of targeting targeting the queenside pawns? Because it's okay to open a position if you're winning material. Would be my response. I'm happy to play an open position if I'm winning a little bit of material. I might not be winning, but, you know, a pawn's a pawn. White's not really developed. He's not ready to attack. So, after queen a4, we're going to look at our first critical position. And this is probably the most testing and the scariest line. This line is very, very scary. And it's the line with queen g4. And this is the line that tries to abuse black's setup. This is the line that really pressures black's setup. And it says, you gave up your dark square bishop. Your dark squares are really, really weak, and I'm going to make you pay for that. I'm going to make you pay big time. So, and in this position, I like to take the modern defense. If you go g6, g6 is an old defense, the old defense, and it's very playable. It is playable. But man, oh man, are these positions scary for black. These positions are really, really scary to play as black. Because you have to face ideas of h4, h5, of there are ideas of like knight h3, f4. And if a knight ever lands on f6, that's disastrous. So g6 is playable, but it's scary. It is super duper scary. So the move I actually like to play here, and this is why this line is a little scary, it's a little hairy, but I play king f8. And this is a very interesting position. 8 moves in, we're giving up our right to castle. Both sides are developed their queens and not developed any pieces. But this position should be around equal. Because in a lot of these lines, white's king ends up being just as unsafe as the black king on f8. So, the main move here, camera's a little dark. Yeah, I don't know what's going on with that. I think it needs like movement to figure out where the white or where the light. I don't understand. I don't get it. Here, the thing about queen g4 and after king f8 is the c2 pawn is hanging. C2 pawn is hanging. So the main move here is actually to go queen d1 back and just return to protect the pawn. However, I should mention, this whole line is maybe a little questionable because very recently, Caruana played the move knight f3. He played this in the U.S. Championship against Naroditsky, and Naroditsky lost in like 25 moves. Caruana just like smacked him. So this move really needs to be respected, and I think Naroditsky went wrong. It's the window. Okay, I'll try and stay in frame more. So, yeah, we have to respect this move, knight f3, because it is dangerous. It's incredibly dangerous. White can try and apply a lot of pressure to f7 very, very quickly. But I think Naroditsky went wrong in that he never took the pawn. So, what I suggest against this is you go knight e7, and then if white continues with something like this, bishop d3, then you go c4, force the bishop back, and you take the pawn. It is possible to take the pawn immediately. Say takes, the queen gets driven away, and the queen can go back here. And this position is a little shaky. because after the queen trade, there's this move c4. This bishop is hanging. And white will regain the pawn. Or if he doesn't, the position is going to open up with your king on f8. So these positions are all very scary. But I like, after knight f3, just go knight e7. And then you're going to take the pawn next move. After your king's a little bit safer with the inclusion of this move, knight e7, you have defenses of like knight f5 and knight g6. So if white goes immediately for like some sort of knight g5, queen f3 thing, or some sort of h4, you're ready to defend yourself. So that's what I would do against that early knight f3. But the main move here is just the retreat. You go queen d. White goes queen d1, protects his pawn. And now we come to our first strategic idea in these positions. And it's a strategic idea in a lot of Frenches, a lot of Winawers. We keep saying white has one big advantage. He has two bishops, he has an unopposed dark square bishop. So we say, all right, let's try and get rid of the two bishops. And this is an idea, maybe you've seen if you play the French a lot, you go b6. I know it's crazy. Another pawn move. We're not developing anything. But there's a really important idea behind this. And the idea is, this piece sucks. This is true in every French defense ever. This piece is absolutely terrible. So, we're going to try and play bishop a6 and trade it. And the thing about white and white's position is that there's not a lot he can do to stop me from trading that piece. Like, how do you stop me, right? So, I think this is the reason why black is okay in these positions, is black actually gets to trade off white's good bishop. If black did not have this idea, black might honestly be losing in these positions. But because he has this idea, he's doing okay. So here we branch. There are two main plans. I'll show the more aggressive plan first. White can go h4 with the plan of going h5, h6, and just cracking the dark squares. And we're going to continue with our plan. We go bishop a6. And white should take this. If white allows the capture on f1, that's not good for white. Because here's the thing. Either recapture is unconvincing for black. If the queen takes, I can play a4, a5. If the knight takes, well then your knight's on a6. What's it doing on a6? So I actually recommend taking with the queen. Knight takes a6, very playable. If you play knight takes a6, you're looking to get this rook onto the c file very, very quickly, and then like take here and put pressure on c2. And that's an idea. But I like taking with the queen so that I can play knight c6, and you put pressure on the center here. So queen a6, white goes h5, h6. We cannot let white play h6 in really any of these positions. If white plays h6, the dark squares just get so weak. It's ridiculous. And white has this annoying idea of rook h4. And white's going to really pressure the king side here. So rook h4, we need to get our pieces out, and I'm worried about the king side most, so I play knight e7, rook f4, and now here is where the game gets very, very sharp. And as black, you must be very, very accurate, because if you don't, if you're not accurate, you're going to get annihilated. So, we're going to develop our other knight. Because we got to get our pieces out. But here, you really got to know what you're doing. Because white has this move, queen f3. And f7 is very, very weak. So, I'd like to hear, what does chat think we should play here? What should be played here? There are really 3 reasonable moves here. But if you don't play one of the 3 moves, you're probably going to lose. Hello. Welcome, everyone. Everyone's saying knight d8. Knight d8 is the engine recommended top choice, and it's funny. It's the one move of the 3 that I never considered playing, but the engine says it's the best move in the position. So yeah, black can play knight d8, and black has a very good position just because white's structure is sort of sad, and we have ideas of going like king g8 to h7. You don't really have control of the light squares. And getting this rook out. I can also take here at some point and pressure on c2 with this rook. So black has a reasonable position here. We're going to look at both queen g4 and queen b1 lines. This came out of a queen g4 variation. So knight d8 is very, very playable here. But it's the move I didn't look at, because this looked really, really passive to me. But the engine really likes this move. So after queen f3, there are 2 moves that I looked at. I think the very natural knight f5 makes a lot of sense. And the point is, after knight f5, you might be scared, because you're like, oh god, g4. But black has a nice move here. What can black play here? This is very tricky. I like this. I'm glad everyone's booking up on queen a5. I actually think it's very, very solid, and I think it should be played more. This is the one scary line where you got to know what you're doing. These queen g4 lines are very sharp. You must know what's up. What's our move here? What does black have here? Why is black not losing instantly? Is knight d4 a thing? I think knight d4 is not a thing. Because after knight d4, I will simply take. I don't have to go in for this. But Iago has posted the line, which is correct. After g4, there's knight h4. And the point is, if you go in for this, after king g8, the queen cannot stay connected to the rook. Because on queen f4, there's knight g2. So rook takes f7 is not playable. And the other point, on queen g3, we play g5. Rawr. And here, black is doing very well. The point being, if takes, I can just go knight takes g6. Or maybe not even. I might not have to do that. If takes... I should probably go knight takes g6. Yeah, I'll go knight takes g6. Is rook takes g7, king takes g7, queen f6 any dangerous? In what exact position? Because here, after queen f3, I've denied this. Oh, do you mean... Oh, right here. Rook g7. Here I don't think it's that dangerous. And the reason is you don't have this square. So after king g8, maybe you can say take here. This looks a little funky. Perhaps I've gone the wrong way, yeah. After rook takes f7, maybe I'm obliged to go to e8. Yeah, I think this is a good point, Michael. That did look scary, and I should probably step to e8 instead, because taking on that sacrifice on g7 looked very scary. But here, you really are gonna lose this rook. White can opt to grab the knight for it, but this should not be enough compensation. I'll play rook f8 here, and I think I'm doing very well. Yeah, so this is good for black. So that's why knight f5 is playable there. After queen f3, you can go knight f5, and meet g4 with the astounding knight h4. There is another move in this position, and that move is king g8. And basically what you're saying is, yeah, you can take f7, but your center is going to fall apart. And this is actually somewhat similar to the poison pawn lines, where black sacrifices his king side, but takes over the center. And here in this position, the engine wants to force a draw with white, which white can do very easily by taking here. And this is a forced draw, because black must repeat, and this is a draw. If you ever go here, I got h6. So that would be a forced draw, which means if black wants to play for more than a draw, black must either play knight to f5 here, or the engine recommended move and the chat recommended move. You guys are engines, apparently. Knight to d8. After queen f3, knight d8, just defending. So that's the aggressive plan for white. Note that white does not have to go in for queen f3 here. White can continue to play slowly with a4, a5, but here, you know, I can take and go knight f5 and just put a ton of pressure here. And that's sort of a typical French idea. Put pressure, put my rook here. I can also think about bringing my king to h7 and getting this rook out. And black has ample ideas to defend this position. So that's the aggressive plan. But we're going to be looking at another plan for white, which is the plan to try and open the position up. Because black's king is a little bit unsafe. White has two bishops, so it is in white's interest to open the position. And that's why the main move here, instead of h4, the aggressive plan, is c4, trying to blast everything apart. And this position gets very complicated very quickly. It is possible to play d takes c4. It is possible to play d takes c4. However, I don't like the move d takes c4. And I much prefer to play very, very solidly. And the solid approach here is to go knight e7. You're developing a piece, and you're prepared to take in the center with the knight. So this is very, very solid from black. You can play dc4 instead of knight e7, but then you're starting to open the position for white, and white's getting what he wants. Let me show an example. After like dc4, white will probably play dc5, and the position is starting to open up very, very quickly. I'm scared for this king. If, say, I move this bishop, there's already a threat of like queen d8. So, you know, in this position, maybe a crazy move like bishop h6 is a threat. I don't know, I'm just spitballing. Bishop h6 might not work, but those are the ideas I have as white, doing something crazy. So these positions are a little shaky. That's why I play more solidly. After c4, I go knight e7. Don't allow the position to open in a really crazy way. And in our main game, white played knight f3. Instead of knight f3, white can take here, but this allows black to equalize very quickly. Black can just take. And the point is, if you take on e6, I take with this with check. And here, this is a position. White sacrificed a pawn, but the position is quite open. So I would say white has at least full compensation for the pawn. And as black, you should tread carefully in this position. I would definitely tread carefully in this position. After something like knight h3, trying to go knight f4, you definitely need to treat this position with caution as black. Because I think these guys can make it go wrong very quickly. I'm not very developed, so black needs to be careful here. If black wants to be a little bit more prudent, black can go, instead of taking this, black can go bishop b7, threatening g2. And the point is, if white ever takes here, that's actually providing a little bit of like a shield for the king, because the white pawn will block lines to the king. And you also have to address this threat on g2. So this is an interesting move. And black is doing okay in these positions. A recent Grandmaster game ended in a forced draw here after bishop f4. The players repeated with queen c3, queen e5, and this was a draw. And I honestly, that's a reasonable draw. Neither side really has anything better. If you have to defend this, if you play knight f3, I can take it and shatter this, and maybe then take that. And after bishop f4, if you move to say like d5, then I get a lot of activity really quickly. I go like knight f3, and I'm really developed. Or I take on f7 or something. So, no, I would go knight f3. But the point stands that this should be a repetition. And that's a very solid way to play. But in the main game, white did not take here. White played knight f3. And after knight f3, I'm still not going to take here. I'm not going to open the position. I'm going to play bishop a6. This was my plan. I had a plan, right? And my plan is I'm going to trade these bishops. And now I'm going to trade them on my terms. Because you're gonna have to take this now. Because now I'm threatening to take with the bishop. So taking here is almost forced. And I'm going to get to trade on my terms. Because after you take, I take on f1. And now you're going to do something you don't want to do. You're either going to play king takes or rook takes. Neither of those are very appealing for white, because all of a sudden, white's king is stuck in the center, the same as black's. So here I've achieved a lot with black. I've traded a pair of bishops. I've traded off my bad bishop for white's good bishop. And I'm going to force white to make a less than stellar recapture. Just to point out, who's greedy? Is anyone in the chat greedy? Who in the chat wants to win a pawn? Anyone want to win a pawn? Who's going to win a pawn in chat? Tell me how to win a pawn for white. d6. Very good. Intermediate move. So d6 will win a pawn for white. But black will have extreme compensation after bishop a6. And the reason is, takes, takes. Now each of us have an unopposed bishop. Your bishop isn't doing anything. My bishop is monstrous. And you cannot block me on these light squares. I have incredible power on the light squares. So white has the potential to win a pawn with d6, but black has a really strong bishop after this, and black has more than full compensation. Black is actually doing very well. If you try and activate this piece, you're actually helping me. I'll play f6, and you're in trouble. You're in big trouble here. Your king is about to come under fire. So this would not be good. All my pieces come in. Knight c6, rook d8, rook if you take rook g8. So black has more than ample compensation for the pawn. So after takes, we go king takes, and we'll follow this game for a little while just to show how black untangles, because black does need to maneuver a little bit. Knight takes d5, and here, again, there's a lot of pressure here, and white needs to deal with that. So white actually takes, and black takes. And now the battleground is set. White's going to try and pressure on the king side, and black will try and pressure the weak e-pawn. So first things first, white needs to get his king out of danger. He's going to put his king on g2 and activate his rook. Black brings his knight in the game, pressuring here. King g2. And here, black had a cool idea. Black played the move h6. And h6 is taking away the g5 square from white's pieces. Can anyone guess, what did black have in mind when he played the move h6? Why is he taking away the g5 square? What idea does black have here? And if you're unsure what idea black has, think about the problem that black has in his position. Yago, why is black trying to play king e7? That's exactly it. So this is a nice move from black. Black here, he's looking at his position, he's going like, my position is pretty good. My knights are active. This queen, she's okay. This rook will have a nice job on the b file. But this rook is a problem. So I want to play king e7 and bring the rook out, but I don't want to get smacked by some like bishop g5 nonsense. So he played h6. And after h4, white's going to pressure on the king side. He's going to get a grip with h5. Black plays king e7. He's getting the other rook into the game. h5, rook hd8. Other rook comes into the game. Beautiful. Now all of black's pieces make sense. This rook will come here. This rook is on a nice open file. These knights have nice squares. Maybe I'll try and get this knight to f5 somehow. Yeah, and black has a pleasant position. Even though the king f8 variation looks very, very scary, you have to realize that it's often difficult for white to take advantage of black's weak king position if black plays accurately. Rook h4. Queen is hit. And the queen drops back. This queen is going to come here, put pressure. Pressure that central pawn. Queen e2, getting ready to defend stuff. And king f8. Black just steps back. His king is back to safety. If I need, I'll go over. I don't need to do that right now, though. And here, white plays a little bit interestingly. White plays king h2. What do you think is white's idea behind the move king h2? We always have to be thinking about what our opponent is doing. Because when I was looking over this game, I was like, I saw that move and I was like, what? Why did white play king h2? And it took me a while before I got an idea for white, before I understood his move and his plan. So you could say he's stepping out of his queen's diagonal, but he's actually planning something more active. And Cosine nailed it. He wants to tear open the king side. He's going to go rook g1, g4, g5. So it's really important to think about what your opponent's doing, because we have to be ready to deal with that. If we're not ready to deal with that, he's just going to open the king side and like checkmate us. So we're always paying attention to what our opponent's doing. Now, as black, what would you like to improve as black here? What should we improve? A8 rook definitely needs to come to life sometime. Who else needs improvement? Everything else looks nice. I agree somewhat. I like Iago's answer as well. I think this knight is not carrying the weight. So I'm identifying these two pieces as pieces I'd like to improve. Where would I like to pick up and drop my e7 knight? To f8. I don't want my knight on f8. He's so sad on f8. I want this knight to go to f5. What a beautiful square. Now, here's the issue. Is this knight getting to f5 anytime soon? In 4 moves, what move would you start with to get it to f5? Yeah, I'll post the study in chat at the end of the thing. Michael O, whatever you said, you are a genius. Because black in this position played the move knight e7. Black played knight e7. And the point is, I'm going to get the same setup. I'm just moving this knight to f5, and this knight will come to d5. Yeah, but it's the same thing. Knights are interchangeable, right? So, also, Iago mentioned a good point, that this knight is already doing something, it's pressuring e5, so we're going to leave him there for a little bit. White said, I had a plan. And black said, I'm really going to tie you down here. And I have ideas. Maybe I can play knight c6. Oh, was it cosine? My fault. Cosine, I'll give you credit where credit is due. Maybe I could play knight c6 and really turn up the pressure here. So white anticipated that. White said, okay, you're gonna play knight c6 and you're gonna pressure, so I'll defend it. My bishop wasn't doing anything anyway. My bishop was useless on d2. Let's give it a job. But now, this knight comes into f5 with tempo, and this rook isn't happy. This rook is not swinging across anywhere. When the bishop came to f4, this rook lost a lot of mobility. It would love to go to, like, c4 or something, but it can't. It looks like this comes from a King's Indian attack. Yeah, a little bit, actually. That's a fair point. So, and the other thing is, playing rook to g4 is a little bit sad because then you can't play g4. So, rook h3 played. But now I get my other piece in. I get my other knight in. Yeah, bishop f4 is an ugly move, but the problem is, like, in this position, if you don't play bishop, oh god, if you don't play bishop f4, how are you addressing this, like, knight c6 threat? How are you protecting that? It involves, like, putting this rook over. This bishop wasn't doing anything. It's a sad piece. I understand white wanting to give it a job, any job at all. So say you play, like, I don't know, g4. If you play g4, well, first of all, if you play g4, I'm going to consider playing f6 because there's a pin. So that's another point of bishop f4. it unpins on this diagonal. Because otherwise you have a problem. You can never play g4. So this is iffy. This is iffy. I think you're gonna have problems here. I'm just gonna take here a whole bunch of times. Also, I can consider maybe this is a loose piece. I also saw the question, why not bishop c3? I'm worried about this piece. He's loose. He's loose. And that worries me. Maybe it's nothing so much, but after bishop c3, I'll go like, and come there and win a tempo. g4, f6, bishop f4. Playable. You might have problems with this move, though. Hit that guy. And if you go bishop g3, I don't know. Maybe this is playable. I can understand white not wanting to go for this, though. This is interesting. This might be better than the game continuation, definitely. g4, f6, bishop f4. Knight goes back to d5 and just drops back. Yeah, this looks sharp, I would say. Definitely sharp. Although maybe I don't play knight d5 actually, because the point is if you take, I can that piece is actually loose. It's a little bit unclear. Maybe I can just improve my position. Go rook b8. I'm not sure. This is a very sharp. The position is maybe roughly equal. I don't know exactly what's going on here. Why isn't black just better? Because I think it's difficult for either side to make progress, is the reason why I would say black is not just better. Say after rook b8, you know, queen e3, you do have to address, there are threats. There are threats of takes and g5 and stuff like that, so you do have to be careful as black, is what I would say. In the game, bishop f4 immediately, allowing knight f5, unpleasant. But here black really is just better. Yeah, Iago, I agree. That's also playable. But I think black should be able to find a way to handle those threats. And here, this is a little bit annoying for white. What happens if white plays g4? And this is why this was actually very good from black. Knight d4? Knight d4 is playable. I think there's something stronger. So knight d4 is definitely playable. I think black has better here than knight d4. Yeah, knight d5 is really good. Knight d5 is very, very strong. Because you get to move the knight in with tempo. It forces black to play a very ugly move. Where's this bishop going? You just move what? You play bishop g3, now I'll go knight e4. Now your bishop's on g3, and my knight's on d5. Those moves are greatly beneficial to black. The inclusion of those moves. If you go, excuse me, if you go like queen e4, I'll take and go knight e4. And my rooks are gonna murder you. Bishop c1. Oh god, not that variation. If you go bishop c1, yeah, that's fine. I'll go knight e4 still. And I'll pressure, and now your bishop's on c1. Yeah, but the inclusion of this move, it can only benefit black. The knight is much better on d5 than it was on b6. So, in the game, white did not play g4. White played queen e4 first. And after knight d5, g4, we sort of transposed. Because knight f4 takes knight d4. And if you take this, you're in a lot of trouble. I might even take with the rook. And just double and, like, murder you. So I think this would be a massacre. And after knight d4, this was not taken. It's difficult for white to do anything. He can't take that. Queen e4. And now, let me ask, how are we making progress as black? Our position is pleasant, but we have to improve it. How would you improve your position as black? Because if white gets a little bit of time, white can go g5, or white can try and get this rook back into the game on like c3 or something. So we have to make progress before white gets too much time to regroup. Rook b8's a good move. What else? Improving him. Knight f3 and rook d4, controlling the file. f6 looks a little risky. f6 I would be scared, because I think actually after f6, I would take... Oh, I can't take. Ah, I see your point. I see your point. f6 playable. It's scary. I wouldn't want to open the king side here. Here, black took advantage of the geometry of white's pieces here. Black took advantage of the geometry of white's pieces to bully white into an endgame. And he played queen c6. And the point is, the rook ending will be good for black. Because this pawn is weak, these pawns are extended, the queenside pawns are also weak, so rook endings will be good for black. Other moves are also clearly playable and clearly good for black. I'm not saying this is the only move for black, but I think this is a nice opportunity that black took advantage of. White either needs to trade queens or make an awkward queen move, like queen e3 or queen f4. The queen is nicely centralized here. It's much less powerful on one of these squares. Also, I can pinch this pawn maybe at some point. If you're not careful. I'm grabbing that pawn. So, white is obliged to trade into the ending, but the ending is good for black. And I'm gonna buzz through this because we've gone way past the opening, but I just want to show how black converted this. The knight comes back in. It was taken, but now that's a strong pawn on d4. Rook d1, rook c8, rook d2. We have to defend our weaknesses. But now black converted this very well with rook c4. This is an annoying move. putting pressure on the weaknesses. And king g2 is probably not correct, but it's hard to fault white. He needs to get this rook in the game. But after king g2, there's d3, and this is not going to be pleasant for you. Check, takes, and rook g5. Some strong pawns you got there. Strong pawns. We'll grab h5. Rook b8. If you play rook a8, it's not going to work because of check, king somewhere and here. So rook a8 is not correct. So here, after rook b8, check. Black came up with an interesting move. Yeah, I agree that rook d8 is not correct. I agree that rook d8 is probably incorrect. But either way, if you go rook d7 there, just it's worth showing. After rook d7, I have a similar trick of going here, and you actually are not threatening this pawn. So it's tough for white to play. In fact, white would be obliged to play this move probably, which would not be good. F4 is an interesting move that I missed. Oh, okay. Valid. But can I go g5? Yeah, this I think, it's not as clear as the game, but I think this is pretty clear. These pawns are weak, and these two pawns are connected passers that are really going to roll. I think black is more than a little better. I think black might be able to force the win of this pawn, and just roll the king side. So rook d8, I agree, inaccurate. I missed that move f4. But here, we gave the check. If you go f4, g5 again, it's just winning. So after king e3, yeah, black played this cool move, f5. This is a really nice move. And the point is, if you take this, I can take either way, really. Probably take with the king, though. Yeah, take with the king. And black has a very nice position. He's just up a pawn and a rook ending. So after f5, we saw check and takes f4 after f5. If you go f4 after f5, it's interesting. But I'll just go g5 anyway. Oh, and there's rook h3. That's a good point. If you go f4, I have rook h3. And takes, and that's totally winning. Yeah, but I'm winning. I'll go king f8. And just h-pawn. This is one for black. So after f5, check was tried. Drop back, take the pawn, but I win the e-pawn now. I have a lot of pass pawns. And now it's a race, but black will win this race because my rook gets behind. c4, king comes over, you're not going to check me, and you're not going to get to the h-file. Takes, just go back. You can grab that, but my h-pawn just rolls. And black won by just maneuvering around, and this is game over. So that's our first game in the queen g4 variation. Key ideas to remember in the queen g4 variation. Well, let's take it way back. After queen g4, g6 is playable but scary. I prefer the move king f8. Against knight f3, which is played by Caruana. It's a little scary to take this pawn. I would develop first, and only then think about taking this pawn. Give your king a little bit of safety before you take on c2. Also, another problem is if you take on c2 immediately, this bishop is hanging, which can be a problem. So playing knight e7 protects the c8 bishop. That's no longer an issue. After the main move, queen d1, we play b6. Our goal is to trade off the light square bishops, which eliminates white's 2 bishops, especially white's good bishop. And then we can finish our development and have a good position because white's structure will still be ruined. If white goes for the aggressive approach, we just develop, we carry out our plan, and we bring our knights in, and we'll figure out the rest on the way. If black tries to, or if white tries to blow it open, don't open it for black. No taking. No taking. Here, the move must be knight e7. Preparing to meet this capture with knight takes. We can't open this. And if white captures immediately, he runs into some issues with this move. So white should prepare the capture with knight f3. But then we go bishop a6, and we get the trade that we want, and we have a reasonable position. Yeah, the queen a5 line leads to, and the Winawer in general, leads to very imbalanced positions. It leads to very, very imbalanced positions, which means it's good for playing for a win. I agree. And here white can open it, but the main thing here is you've got to deal with this king and the rook somehow. So we saw that happen with this combination of h6, stopping pieces landing on g5, followed by king e7, and we swing the rook out and we have a good position. Great, let's look at our next line. So this is the same. This is the Winawer with queen a5, bishop d2, and queen a4. And here we look at the next line, which is queen b1. So, someone in chat tell me, what does queen b1 accomplish for white? It's a weird move. What's the point? We have a family reunion in chat. It's a very subtle point, I agree. Very subtle and positional. No tactical threat whatsoever. Yeah, bishop b5 check. He threatens to win your queen. But, Julian, I'm going to disagree with your assessment of saying that it's a one-move trick. Because this almost forces the move threatening queen b2. It almost forces the move c4. And this was white's idea. White forces the move c4, and now, if black plays b6 and bishop a6, it's not very effective. b6 and bishop a6 is not such a good idea anymore. So now black has to come up with other ways to create play. Is a6 a move instead of c4? a6 it's a move. It's certainly a move. I'm very skeptical. I'm wondering what I could do here. Here I can think about the move queen b3. Trying to fix my pawn chain. And if your queen moves, maybe I'll go like c4 or a4 and blast everything open. I think the best response here is c4. Just to point out, you don't have to play c4. Another try to avoid playing c4 is bishop d7. But then white will go c4 at some point, and that won't be pleasant. White's really going to bust you open here. Actually, bishop d7, sorry, I've hung this. Ridiculous. Well, is that clear? I don't know. Yeah, it's something. So I think c4 is more or less forced here. So black now needs to come up with a different strategic idea. So white usually goes for this maneuver. Not usually. Yeah, I was looking at after bishop d7 takes this move, but queen c8, yeah, it's something. I guess this pin is sort of annoying. Like, everything's pinned. Although this knight's coming out. I don't know. I don't know what's going on here. Something's going on. So, I guess queen c7. I don't know, do I repeat? It's not repeating, quite. I don't know what's going on here. I don't know if I'm trapping that queen or not. Should be mate? I don't know if I agree with that. I don't know how you're mating with just your queen. A forced win for which side, though? I'd be scared to play this as both sides. I wouldn't want to play this as white, and I wouldn't want to play it as black. It's one of those. So I wouldn't go into this. I would be like, for either side, I would be like, no, thank you. So after queen b1, we go c4, and white plays this move, knight h3. And white's idea is white wants to pick away at this dark square and go knight f4, knight h5. That's white's main idea. Any other move is not as good. I mean, you can go knight f3, you can go bishop e2, you can go g3, but neither of those are as good, and black can continue with a number of plans. Black really has two main ideas in these positions. Black can go knight c6, bishop d7, and long castle and try and like pry open the king side. Or black can try and break f6 very quickly. And after knight h3, that's what black does. Black goes f6. And black's point is, you know, all your pieces are on the queen side. These aren't developed, really. So it's okay to open up a little bit here. I've closed down this side. That means I do need to get play on the other side of the board. Because I'm not really going to get play over here for a while. So f6. Cracking open. Now let me ask. If white takes, what should we take back with? Pawn or knight? Yeah, taking with the pawn is close to losing. Oh, not that. Oh, God. If you take with the pawn, exactly as I said, bishop e2 is a problem. Pawn is not correct. Pawn is very bad. After this, white gets a monstrous initiative. Something like knight e7. And I can give the check right away. And then go knight f4. Why from white's perspective? Good question. I don't know. Because I'm dumb? Let's flip it. You go king d7? Then you went king d7. Oh god, now I'm confused because I flipped the board. Knight e7. You want to go king d7? This can't be right. Like, that's incredibly weak. I'll just castle and be better. Or I'll play, like, bishop g4, knight f4. I know you're going to go e5. But maybe I just go, like, f4. And just say no No e5 for you. But like your king is unsafe. Only I can be better. So here we go f6, and it's not in white's interest to take it because after takes, my position is pretty good. I'll go knight c6 and e5 if I'm allowed, and I'll castle and have a generally decent position. So it's not in white's interest to take. After f6, white in this game tried f4. So black said, okay, I should develop my pieces, because that's a good idea. Also, just note that in this position, you don't have to play f6. You can play knight c6 and go for a quick queenside castles. For example, on knight f4, you can actually go bishop d7, and taking that pawn is risky. Is not recommended. So after something like g3 or bishop e2 or something, free pawn. That pawn ain't so free, my friend. This is unclear. For one, I can take here. But for another, I don't even have to do that. Well, I don't want to go knight e7 yet. Because knight e7 allows knight h5. But I don't want this. So white, this is scary for white. I don't like this for white whatsoever. So knight c6 is totally playable. And after knight f4, bishop d7, something like bishop d2, we just long castle. I would try and castle quickly. I actually wouldn't take c2, but they're both fine. You can take c2. So this is playable. But in the game, f6, f4, we develop. White put his knight on f2. I'm gonna be honest. I don't understand this move. I don't understand the point. I guess he decided that because the knight can't go to f4, it needs to come home to a different square. That's the only thing I can think of here. Black develops his pieces. This is all very natural. g3. And here black did something interesting. Black can still try and long castle, but black just castled short and said, I have a good position. I have a good position here. I'll just castle short. Bishop h3, putting some pressure, activating the bishop. And black has castled short, so black's going to get ready to... yeah, Sheppy, that's actually exactly his idea. That's a good point. The knight is preventing the bishop from going to h3. And Julian, you as well, the knight is terrible on h3. So black wants to play on the queen side, because he just castled short. So black's going to try and get like b5, a5, b4 in. So black played rook b8. Just getting ready to go b5, b4. Castles. Also, another point is now black can play bishop d7 without hanging the pawn. That's always nice. Don't want to hang our pawns. And here white played queen d1. And white is signaling, hey, guess what? I'm getting ready to go and mate you. I'm going to come and checkmate you. Somehow. I'll figure it out. I don't know how, but I'm going to come and mate you somehow. So black said, okay, I'm not going to get mated. I'm going to shut it down. I'm going to blockade the king side. And I'm going to make my breakthrough on the queen side. I'm going to shut down the king side, keep it closed. You're not going to mate me on the king side, and then I'll break through on the queen side. So there's really a couple of different ways to play these positions. You can castle short, try and blockade the king side and break through on the queen side. Or you can castle long and try and break through on the king side while keeping the queen side closed. So here, white dropped back saying, okay, my bishop's useless here. And black said, let's go. Let's go. Let's open that queen side. And white said, okay, you're playing on the queen side. I'm gonna open up the king side. That's sensible. And here, black wants to open the queen side, but he can't play b4 right now, because that's a problem. I know, nice active bishops, right? That's the thing that happens in these queen b1 lines. The position becomes really, really closed. So white has to really work to get the bishops going. So here black is going to remaneuver the queen to get out of the way. So queen a5, the queen's going to come to d8 or c7, and a more natural square. Who's the streamer? I am Quirked. I am part of the Lichess4545 Lichess. I got so much hate for that. Lichess4545 League. I'm a USCF expert, rated 2050. So I know some things, but not many things. Yeah, that's pretty much it. I'm showing you the Queen A5 Winawer, the opening. It's a fun opening. You should check it out. So black's getting ready to remaneuver the queen somewhere and then play A5 and be happy. White starts developing. Queen E2, it looks like a weird move, but white actually has a point. White wants to put his knight on E3 to support the G4 break. What state am I from? I'm originally from California, and now I play in New York. I play at the Marshall. If you're ever there, come hang out. Black remaneuvers his queen. And white does as advertised. He's going to go knight d1, knight e3, and g4. And black does as advertised. Goes a5, b4. I only started playing there in the past 2 years. But yeah, if you're in town, hit me up on Slack or Twitter or whatever. I'd love to play. Knight e3 and b4 as advertised. So takes, and white's not really interested in taking here. You're just helping black activate his pieces. So white's just going to leave this, and white plays g4, exactly. White gets his break. So black needs to be a little careful here. Black has to make sure he can always take on f5 with a piece. Because if he's ever forced to take with a pawn, this really becomes a monster. So black has to be cautious on the f5 square. Black just continues to improve his vision. Also, black should never take this. You never open the side of the board that your opponent's working on. Black plays king h8. Bishop e1, this bishop might come around to h4, put pressure. g3, pressure diagonally against the queen. All playable. And now black tries something interesting. Black goes bishop e8. Our French maneuver, typical French maneuver. And this bishop can potentially come to g6 and help support f5. Because we know that f5 is a tender spot, we have to support it. And here, I think white loses the thread a little bit. White needs to somehow find a way to continue building up pressure. And I don't really understand white's next couple moves. Here white plays queen d1. And I'm not sure exactly what this accomplishes. Perhaps he's thinking about bringing the queen over to the queen side, but I don't feel like that's correct. I don't feel like that can possibly be correct. Because white's clearly playing on the king side. I don't know why we're playing queen d1. I don't know what we're accomplishing with this move. The only possible rationalization I can have is like coming over to the queen side, but I know, right? Like, why are we playing queen d1? We want to bring our pieces to the king side. Setting up for the next game, yeah, right, it's not a good move. And black took advantage. Black played b3. And this is a very strong move, because if you don't address this, I'm going to play b2. And you're not going to be happy about b2. So this really must be taken. Now both recaptures are interesting. C takes may be objectively stronger, actually. Just giving this square, I'll go like knight a5, c4, and have a great position. But black played rook takes, which is a little bit more sane, I would say. A little bit more prudent. And again, I'm not sure about white's move. In fact, I know what white's next move is bad. White played queen c2. Like, what does that accomplish? Are you going to go queen a2 and then do what, right? Like, what is this doing? I mean, you're putting pressure on f5, sure, but you're not doing anything. Yeah, bishop g6 was played in the game. However, black actually has much better. Who wants a medal? Who can find me a very good move for black? Who's got a close to winning move for black? Knight d4, free pawn, indeed. Nom nom nom. And the point is, if taken, I will scoop up an unprotected knight. And black's position is very good, because that's a protected pass pawn. I like protected pass pawns. Those are nice, right? So this would be close to winning for black. Black is much better here. But black played the Julian recommended move, bishop g6. And now black is thinking about taking it, because that's a diagonal. And so let's just point out, white just played queen c2. After bishop g6, white plays queen d1. What? What? What is happening? That's so sad. Now, another good point about bishop g6 is it defends the f5 pawn another time. Bishop c3 after rook takes e3. And you're going to trap my rook, you say? I say, I don't believe you. How are you attacking my... So, first of all, if I go here, are you going to go bishop f3, e2? So, like, I don't know what you're doing here, really. Like, how you're making progress. In fact, maybe I just go bishop g6. I think I just go bishop g6. I introduce a threat. I'll go here and say, okay, like, queen e2 is not very good. Queen c1. And the problem for you is, if you ever go bishop f3, I actually take this, and then I take here. Oh, no I don't. I've hung my rook. Clever me. Okay. Ah, but bishop e2 is not a threat. This is hanging. Yeah, I'll figure it out. My rook will be fine. It's a good attempt, but my rook will be fine. See you later, Julian. Thank you for hanging out. Appreciate your input. So rook b3, queen c2, bishop g6, queen d1. Yago has suggested bishop e8. Draw agreed. But I think black is more ambitious. Protecting f5 has freed one of our pieces. So we go rook fb8. Take the b file. White tries rook f2. This rook will swing over, but you're not doing anything. And now black starts out on another elaborate plan. So black has a good position. How can I make my position as black even better? What's my plan to improve my position? Black has a really good idea here. I was kind of blown away when I saw this. Feels bad now for who? Black or white? Yeah, I agree. It feels very cramped for white. Black is doing very well on the queen side, and white hasn't really made progress on the king side. So what can black do to increase the advantage? Ratchet it up. Bring more pressure. What do? How do we improve? Because having an advantage is nice, but you got to do something with it. You got to make something of it. F takes g4 for rook b1. Unleashing the bishop. That's an interesting idea. Let's look at it. Fg4, and Iago's idea is, hey, this bishop came to life. Now, what I'm wondering... I want to try... Oh, it doesn't quite work. I wanted to go queen g4. And my idea was, if you go rook b1, I wanted to play f5, but unfortunately, after takes, this bishop is hanging. And if I go, king f1, then you're in time for knight f5. So that's an interesting idea. Fg4, let's find a good move for white, because you did open the king side. You opened my side of the board, and I want to punish you for that. But okay, let's allow your move. Let's allow rook b1. I think I must take this. And here I should go queen to e2. Let's go queen e2. And I think the issue here is, now I have threats. You've allowed me threats. So, before I wasn't really doing anything active. Now I have active possibilities of going f5. And it's difficult for you to stop my active possibilities, actually. So I think this idea has improved white's position somewhat. I'll show you the idea played in the game, because it's incredibly smart. I think this is a brilliant idea. And if you found this, I would have been, blown away. Black played h6. And you're like, what? What does that do? But, my friends, you shall see. You shall see what this does. White doubled. And white is threatening to invade. Queen a5? Oh, you mean at the end of that line? Queen a2, queen a5. That's a move. It's a move and a half. Yeah, but... Okay, rook f1. And then I'll go f5. I'll figure it out. I'll make f5 happen here. You can't stop me. So, after rook f8, white's threatening to come in. We want to keep going with this line? Rook f1. Okay, I won't go rook f1. Fine, I've blundered horribly, as is tradition. I won't go king f1 either. Okay, fine. I'll go queen d2. Are you happy? Yeah, Sheppy. That's what I came to realize. I won't allow any of this nonsense. So after rook f8, we can't allow white to come in. So black played queen c8. White played king h2. Getting his king safe? I don't know. And now black swings around. So black says, I have total control over the queen side. I'm going to take control of the king side. You put all your pieces over here on the queen side. I'm going to take that king side. And I'm going to start running the show over here. And after king g3, this is probably a bad move, by the way. You should protect this some other way. But king g3 was played. And now, black played bishop h7. Really cool idea here. The point of h6 suddenly becomes clear. We're going to tear it open. You put all your pieces over here. Your bishops aren't doing anything. I'm going to rip this open and try and mate you on the king side. White played bishop d2, trying to lend some support here. But g5. Let's go. What do you got? You got nothing. Queen f1. Takes. And very unfortunately for white, queen takes is not possible. Why is queen takes losing? Totally and utterly losing. Who's got a medal in them? Win the game. Very good. Knight g6. The queen moves anywhere. f4, you lose a piece. That's no good. So, after gf4, white is forced to play king f4. Not where you want your king. Now check and f4. Still, this pawn is very, very strong, causing big problems for black. Knight must move. And now, who really wants a medal for this one? There's a nice shot here. Who can win as black? This one's nice. This is some geometry here. Boom! We got it in chat. Knight g takes e5 check. D takes e5. And now, this one hurts. Because after rook c2, there's a pin along this rank. Knight d4 check. And if we quickly count material, I am up and exchanged. And a pawn? Yeah, I'm up and exchange and a pawn. So I'm winning. Instead, black tried rook b2. He missed the shot. Can't really blame him. They're probably in time trouble. This is move 36. It's understandable to miss such a complex geometric shot. So rook b2. Just pressuring the second. Oh yeah, rook b2 is still totally winning. It's just not instantly winning. Yeah, black is not doing anything wrong. He just isn't finding the most accurate wins. After king f2, you can still take this. It's still a disaster. The point is, after taking... Now you have queen c5. And also this is hanging. Bad things are happening to you. So you can still take here. But it's move 37. We'll forgive him. Instead, knight h4 was played with the idea of going f3, or maybe taking this. White went queen c1, and here black uncorked. So let me ask, what did black play here On move 38, right before time control, black unloaded a shot. Who's got a winning shot here? Move 38, you're in time trouble. You gotta make it work. Also, your rook's hanging, so you gotta be careful. Knight takes e5 is the start. Now whatever, d8-5. Very good, Sheppy. The rook is hanging. You gotta throw this move in. Very important. You can't allow the knight to block the check. So, and the rook was the piece that's hanging, so you take with the rook. Now queen c5. And if the king steps away, checkmatey things start to happen on the board. So, for example, if you go here, king f1, there's a couple of things I can do. But maybe I just go like f3. Or I can check here. Yeah, let's look at that check first, actually. Oh yeah, that hurts. That check really hurts. Yeah, that's game over. Super game over. I'm going to come in here. Actually, why did I even take that piece? Yeah, you lose. So that's why, after queen c5 check, bishop e3 played. Let's figure it out. What's going on? What do we play? It's not mate, but it's made one move. So take it with what? Queen or pawn? Sheppy says queen. We agree we're taking it with the queen? Yeah, queen e3. And you're actually not going to end up a piece here. But you're going to end up at a winning ending. Takes, takes. Here, white is very precise. King g3. So you're not going to end up a piece here. But it is an easily convertible ending with a strong pawn. Takes, takes. e2. Bishop d3. And this pawn will provide the win for us. King f2. Check. King comes in. Rook up. Rook blocks. King in. White has to keep our king out. But now our rook comes in. And this is totally lost. Protects. Attacks. And white resigned. As g4 is falling, and that will spell the end of the game. In fact, more than g4 might be falling. This bishop might be a little sad. On king f2, though, I'll just take and be winning. Well, actually, let me look at that. King f2 takes here. No, I just pin. So, a very, very nice game from black. Let's go over key strategic ideas. In the queen b1 variation, you end up blockading the queen side, and there are two main plans. You can castle short and push your queen side, or you can castle long and open the king side. After knight h3, black here played f6, signaling that he's going to open the king side, but as play proceeded, he just decided to castle short, and here he will, eventually when white shows intention of opening the king side, he'll blockade the king side. And now we're going to push the queen side and try and open the queen side to our advantage. And then once we've taken control of the queen side, we're forcing white to beat to our drum. Now we can start thinking about opening the king side to our advantage as well. So those are the queen g4 and queen b1 variations. I've been on for almost 2 hours now, and I need to go eat something. So I'm going to cover the last two main variations, which I should show. So the other two main lines are after queen a4, it's possible to go knight f3, and it's possible to go h4. So I'm going to cover those two on next week's stream. So if you enjoyed this, if you're interested in this variation, come back next week and we'll cover the last two main lines, which are 8 knight f3 and 8 h4. Anyway, thank you all so much for watching. If there's any last questions, I'll be on for like 2 more minutes, and then I'm going to head off eat some dinner. So let me know if you have any last questions about these lines at all. Got some sushi next to me. Om nom nom. I almost forgot. Let me post the link to the study in chat. Give me 1 second. I gotta bring it up on this computer. I have 2 computers. Crazy, I know. One's a laptop. The h4 section is not filled out because I ran out of time to do the h4 section. But the other 3, the lines are there. So that's the study that I've been working from. If you're interested, you can save it and review it. I didn't like write out all the ideas because I'm lazy. I don't know about if you notice about me. I'm a super lazy person. Yeah, those are all the ideas. If you're interested, save the study. You can look back on it. And thank you all for watching. I haven't seen any questions, so I'm going to sayonara off. This is a good question. From White's point of view, is queen g4 or queen b1 more challenging? I would say queen g4 is more challenging, because queen g4 is very, very dangerous for black. So in the queen b1 lines, black can make a mistake and be a little bit worse. In the queen g4 lines, black can make a mistake and be outright losing. So I would either play queen g4 as white, or I would play knight f3. And we'll see it next week, but the knight f3 lines for white have a lot of bite. You just have to know what you're playing. And we'll see that next week. But I'll show you the knight f3 lines. They can be very, very scary. Thank you all for watching. I'm going to sign off. Good question, Michael. And hopefully I will see you all next week.